Hey guys, I just wanted to make a quick video about creating your own jigs. You can do this by purchasing your own jig heads of your choice. I like football heads. Then you get your choice of your jig skirt and your trailer. What I have right here, this is a 3/4 ounce River to Sea touchdown football jig head. I was turned on to these by BassinNW. I mean, he's a really great fisherman. He recommends awesome products, and I tried these and I absolutely love them. They have a really strong hook. The hooks are super sharp. You're not going to bend them. And you set the hook on that fish and you're going to bury that hook in its mouth. One cool thing about these is, how well can you see it? So if you look right there, you can see that it has a hook going down and up. That's really just going to grab onto your plastic trailer and it's going to keep it in place. And if you look, I don't know what you can see, but if you look further up the jig head, right there's another groove, and that's pretty much where your skirt is going to rest inside. Right here, I was also turned on to these by BassinNW again. They're the Warrior Baits Easy Change leggings, and you get 3 in a pack, and I think they're less than $4, so it's a pretty good deal. And I got these in green pumpkin and black and blue. I got the black and blue right here. And then you got your Gary Yamamoto twin tail hula grubs. I mean, these are a very popular bait, and they do really well here in Washington for smallmouth. One thing I'm going to talk to you guys about, or that I'm going to do when I put this jig together, is that I've done pretty well with having a pretty broad contrast in terms of the color of my jig head, the skirt, and the plastic. You'll hear a lot of people say, you know, match your skirt to your plastic and your jig head to your plastic so that it looks more natural. And a lot of times in clear water that is going to be very advantageous, but in dirty stained water or slightly stained water, seeing that little contrast, sometimes it's going to turn them on to biting. So right here, the River to Sea touchdown jig head, that's in green. We got a black and blue skirt, and this particular color of the hula grub is watermelon red and green flake, which is kind of like a watermelon candy almost. If you look at it, it's pretty much like a Christmas tree color. So if you look at that right there, it's got a watermelon, but it's got big green and red flakes. And yeah, so if you look at it, I mean, I call it the Christmas tree color, but it's watermelon with green and red flake. So let's get one of these skirts out here. So these skirts are really awesome because they already come pre-assembled with so there's like an outer rubber layer, and then there's like a inner rubber band that's keeping that skirt together, so it's not going to get all messed up. You don't have to worry about it separating. And there's, I don't know how well you can see it here, probably maybe not too well, but there's a big groove in there, and all you got to do is thread your hook through there, slide it up, then push it over that initial keeper, and it's on there, and then you push it even farther until it's flush with the jig head. And voila, just like that, you have a skirted football head jig. Now you can either decide here whether or not you want to trim the skirt. A lot of people tend to trim the skirt so that it's flush with the bend in the hook. And what that allows you to do is you can put your trailers, you can thread them all the way onto the shank of the hook, and the legs or the claws or tails, whatever you want to call them, they'll stick out past the skirt and their action won't be affected too badly. But for the purpose of the video, I'm not going to cut it. But one thing I am going to cut is I'm going to cut the skirt off the hula grub, or the skirted plastic off the hula grub. If you put that on here, I mean, that's just going to kind of go crazy. It's going to interfere with your Warrior Baits skirt. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a box cutter, and right where the ribs start, I'm just going to cut it off. Now this part right here, you don't have to throw it away. You can save this. And I've used these on, I've just threaded them up towards the head of the jig head. I've used them on plastic worms, you know, other sorts of baits. It'll add a little bit more flash, it'll add more action, and it'll give that skirted appearance. So you don't have to throw these away, you can repurpose these. So one thing I want to point out to you is if you slide this all the way up onto the hook keeper, most likely, hold on, let me see if I can show you. So So there's your football head. If you slide this all the way up, which is about there, you'll notice that the end of your craw trailer is about flush with the end of your skirt. And what that's gonna do is that's more than likely gonna mess with the action of the twin tail grub. I mean, unless you're swimming it really fast, that grub's probably gonna get caught in that skirt. So what you can do is you can either trim the skirt or you can slide the plastic up less. Instead of threading it all the way up here, maybe you can thread it, halfway on or less. That way, your legs or whatever you want to call them, they'll still be free to move around in the water, and your skirt will still give off a bigger presence in the water. So you can either trim it up or you can slide this on there. Slide it on there, not all the way. So since I don't want to trim the skirt, maybe I'll reuse it later. I don't know. I'm just gonna not completely slide it on. What I like to do is, hold on, that's not cut perfectly straight. Let's trim that a little bit. Okay, so what I like to do is once you start threading it on there, only thread it till you get to the start of the bend the first bend of the hook. So go in the middle, stop there, push it through, and then just thread it on. So what happens when you do that is, so now you can see that the end of the skirt is actually touching just about where the tails on the twin tail grubs start. So now your legs are going to be free to flap around, do whatever, and that skirt's going to be pulsating a lot more freely, and it's going to give off a bigger presence in the water. Now if you want it more compact, like I said, trim up the skirt and slide it all the way up. So again, this might not be the most natural color, however I think it's still pretty good. It's got the green head, which matches with the watermelon red and green flake, but it's got that black and blue skirt, so it's got a darker color to it. If you want more natural, right here I have the same setup, except this is the green pumpkin skirt on a green head and a green pumpkin black flake hula grub. So those I didn't thread the bait all the way on. If you want to see what the bait looks like all the way threaded on, you can refer to this one right here. And I believe this is the brown color, but it looks more like a reddish brown, so it looks more like a craw. And this also has the black and blue skirt, but the hula grub on here is a smoke purple and black flake. So again, this looks pretty sweet, but if you look at it, the end of that skirt is right on the edge of that craw. So I'll probably throw this just to see what it looks like in the water. If the legs aren't really kicking, then I probably will just trim up the skirt a bit. But like I said, you can either go with your natural color and presentation here, or you can mix it up a bit with the colors and give that nice contrast and give the bass something different to look at. Alright guys, I hope this helps. Give it a try. Give me your opinions on what you guys like to do, and we'll see you next time.